Hey, what's up guys, John here. The car market is in crisis in America, and what car makers are doing right now to navigate this upcoming collapse is shocking. I'm talking 50% layoffs for Stellantis is what they're discussing right now. Stellantis may lay off 50% of its North American workforce and outsource jobs that struggles in US markets. Jeep faces increased competition like Hyundai and Kia threatening. But what they're going to be doing is outsourcing jobs to India and Mexico. So they were just in a massive strike. And what are the odds? Now they're going to lay off half of their North American workforce. At least that's the rumor. You have GM reporting they're going to lay off 1,600 workers by the end of this year. 1,600.
Well, more layoffs coming to General Motors, the automaker announcing that the cuts will be coming early next year and impact around 1,300 workers in total.
Then you have Ford saying they're going to be issuing mass layoffs. So you have all these major companies in the car market firing like there's no tomorrow. Not to mention, Tesla has reported that they're laying off 20,000 employees.
Tesla employees woke up to a disappointing surprise this morning, learning that about 10% of their workforce will be getting laid off.
Why is this all happening? Is it because the economy is softening and people aren't buying, new cars that they were before? Maybe, but according to Hyundai's own website, no. What's actually happening is a restructuring of the entire transportation sector in America, and what's going to happen next is going to rock 330 million Americans. They're completely lost as to where this is actually going, but you won't be, because you're going to be able to see from their own sources about what's going to happen next. I mean, car values are falling so fast in this country that even Money.com saying that used car prices are falling so much that they're driving down inflation. Negative equity is over $6,000 per car right now. If you go on Google Trends and you type in negative car equity, it's off the charts. People are panicking. They're giving their keys back to the lender. They're look at all these breakout terms: trade-in car with negative equity, negative car trade-in, negative car equity lease. They're all breaking out. How to get out of negative car equity. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you what happens next to help you and position you for what I believe is going to be a very different type of economy. Please hit the like button when you do. YouTube will share the content, educate more people about what's really going on in America. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself what I believe is going to be the greatest wealth transfer in American history, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative or derogatory items in your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com, click the link in the description just below this video, schedule a free call for tomorrow. Take a look at this. In July, a report on the fall of Denver and the fall of Ohio, 2 months before the media. In 2023, I predicted federal rent control would come and food price controls would come to combat inflation. The White House is now working to make both of these laws.
Passed the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
My incredible team provides tomorrow's news today. Only 30% of all viewers are subscribed. If you subscribe, the algorithm will reward the channel and we can expand and grow and hire more researchers. Thank you for simply clicking the red button to subscribe to the channel. Now on to the video. Top 3 car makers: General Motors, Stellantis, and formerly Chrysler, Ford Motor Company. Here, it says Stellantis may lay off 50% of its North American workforce and outsource jobs due to struggles in the U.S. market. Lee and Doug discussed the challenges facing Stellantis, the company that now owns Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and the potential impact for the American car industry. They talk about Stellantis' possible plan to lay off up to 50% of North American workforce, outsourcing jobs to India and Mexico, which will have significant implications for American labor and the car industry. The conversation also touches on increased competition Jeep is facing from other brands like Kia and Hyundai, which would further strain Stellantis' market position. The discussion concludes with concerns that if Stellantis struggles, other major U.S. car makers like GM and Ford might face difficulties. Well, they're already doing this, laying off 1,600 workers. General Motors has announced to lay off 1,695 workers at its Fairfax assembly plant in Kansas. The company made the announcement in a worker-adjusted and retraining notification. Warren notices earlier this week significant cuts as part of the long-term production strategy. And so all these different, segments of their business are going to be restructuring. Now, what I find very fascinating is Tesla's ambitious move, going from 140,000 employees to 121,000. They basically lay off 20,000, right? And going to Hyundai's own website, Hyundai.news, what they said, and they have their predictions for the next 5 years. 5 years is going to fly by. Think about it, 2020, everything that unfolded in 2020, that was basically 5 years ago. In about 4 or 5 months, that'll be a 5-year anniversary. So that happening, again, the 5-year window, the entire world as we know it is going to change. 12 trends that will shape the future of the car industry by 2030. Now, what they say is ecoism. Issues such as global warming, climate, and fossil fuel depletion are expected to dominate the policies of governments across the world in coming decades, and stricter environmental regulations will impose as a result. The car industry will respond to this by moving further away from fuel and produce vehicles that only consume eco-friendly energy in the form of electric cars and hybrids. Now, if you have a traditional combustion engine vehicle and you see this trend, this shift, this restructuring unfolding right now, you just imagine how much it's going to cost to get a fuel pump, how much it's going to cost to, get basic parts for a combustion engine vehicle. It's just going to get more and more and more expensive as these car makers stop producing these vehicles, right? So we're going to see the cost for insurance going up. Look at Hurricane Helene. Look at all the crisis that's unfolding right now. It's going to get more expensive to service. It's going to get more expensive to insure. It's just going to be a change felt that not many people are going to be able to withstand. You start to look at what's going to unfold with AI and automation, all this in the next year, 2 years, 3 years. A lot of people are going to be letting go of their cars. And that's exactly what they predict here on Hyundai's website. Sharing society, the new sharing economy, valuing economic fragility over social status, has started to enter the mainstream as goods and valued on the stories, experiences, and other intangible values. It's predicted that the future mobility based on efficiency and economic viability will appeal to this concept by implementing on-demand services and platforms that maximize the user experience. So we're going to a sharing society. Now, what's fascinating when you look here, you just type in what percentage of people own cars in the next 5 years, right? Just matching up the dates from Hyundai's own website. They say that private car ownership will drop 80%, according to Forbes magazine. You have, Business Insider reporting the same thing. And this is 2017. So what I believe is very likely going to happen is this. This came out in June, right? The new American dream. More than 1/3 of Americans consider ditching car ownership in the next 5 years. We're going to walk into a car market crisis in this country that I think most people can't imagine. I believe we're going to start to see so many people letting go of their cars. And it might be hard to digest in the beginning, but I think this is what's going to happen. And when you start to look at what's unfolding in commercial real estate in big cities, these commercial properties, these office buildings that are getting significant markdowns, 50, 60, 70% reductions in value based on their high vacancy rates, insurance and taxes going through the roof, the work from home trend, and this big push to turn these commercial properties into communal housing and apartments. There's $35 billion in dry powder the White House is issuing to developers and investors to convert these properties into housing. I think we're going to see a change where a lot of people are going to start moving into cities, and they're going to start using, mass transit to get around. That's what I think is going to happen. As monthly car payments hike towards record numbers, interest rates hit their highest level in nearly 15 years, and the financial burdens of gas, insurance, parking, and maintenance take their toll on car owners. Americans are wondering if ownership is necessary, according to a new survey released by Zipcar, the world's leading car sharing network, and conducted by Wakefield Research. Check traditional car ownership in the rearview mirror, with data revealing that more than 1/3 of U.S. adults, 35%, would be at least somewhat likely to give up owning personal vehicles by the end of the decade, and nearly 1 in 5, 18%, are likely, very likely, or extremely likely to do so. These potentially careless drivers are not alone. Almost half of all adults, 44%, already know their peer getting by just fine without owning a car. The traditional American idea of owning a car, receiving the gift of new keys at 16 as a graduation surprise, or to drive around a city, is dead. Car owners are feeling the stress of car ownership and are increasingly adopting affordable transportation options easily accessible at their fingertips. Why waste money on a car that sits unused and parked most of the time? So you see the trend, you kind of see where this is all going. And it's not just hitting the car market, it's like every industry is getting restructured. I mean, world's largest ski resort operator layoffs ahead. I mean, tourism, travel, these entire industries are going to be changing. They're going to be changing rapidly. My prediction is that in 2025, we're going to see a surge of auto loan delinquencies. We're going to see repossessions hit levels in which we can't imagine. And we're going to see car prices continue to tank. And why? Well, supply and demand really dictate and determine pricing. And so when you have a major amount of supply that's going to be hitting the market for sale, and a small pool of available buyers actually able to qualify for these loans to buy these cars, you can just imagine what's going to happen. Values are going to tank. And people that own their cars, and they say, look, I bought this car for $45,000 or $50,000 in 2021. Now I can go on cars.com and see the same car for $28,000, $30,000. Why am I going to make payments on this car that I'll never get my money out of? I'm not going to. I'm going to give the keys back. And I think what's going to happen is this trend is going to continue to grow and grow and grow as the job market falls apart and inflation gets worse, that we just start to see this avalanche of car inventory hit the market and a massive structural change across society. I mean, what do you think about this entire situation? Where do you see all of this going? Do you think we're walking into a car market crisis in this country to likes which we've never before seen? Let's have a conversation about this below. And please hit the like button. YouTube will share the content, educate more people about what's happening in this country, in this economy. And if you'd like to fix your credit, we would love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative or derogatory items in your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free call for tomorrow. Catch you next video.